going back to Boston. I think I'm losing my mind.
Matt Jennings is a New Englander through and through. His childhood was filled with Red Sox games, making pot pies from scratch, and fishing on the North Shore. But it was his summer job at a local grocery store that may have had the greatest influence. The cafe next door gave him his first taste of working in a professional kitchen.
Last year, he opened Townsman in Boston, where he serves up what he calls modern farmhouse cuisine. He's received 4, count 'em, James Beard Award nominations for Best Chef Northeast. Food and Wine declared him one of the 40 under 40 big thinkers in the food industry. And Esquire magazine just named Townsman one of the best new restaurants in the country. Chef Matt Jennings, welcome to the dish.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Tell us what you brought for us.
Well, this is a smattering of things that we love to cook with friends and family or eat together. So fried chicken, a classic, right? Tugs on the heartstrings of nostalgia, but a little bit of an inflection of New England there with a cider brine.
Ooh, and it's nice and crispy.
Nice and crispy on the outside. We've got some potatoes up front that I call ugly potatoes. They're basically very gently boiled and smashed and then fried.
They don't taste ugly, I'll tell you that.
They taste delicious, right? With a little chorizo crema. To finish it off, we've got a black barley salad with feta and spinach and red onion, very Mediterranean. Up front, we have some beautiful pickled plums, which are something probably a little bit unusual for you guys, but we love pickling and things at Townsman. So had to have some of those, nice acid to cut the fat of the chicken too. And a beautiful salad with some grilled avocado. I don't think too many people think about grilling avocado, but it's great. And we put a little green goddess dressing in there as well. So it's a nice little potpourri, if you will.
But you forgot Anthony's favorite part. I'll go
I
ask
know.
You put something in my iced tea,
well,
didn't you?
did you see? I know you thought it was iced tea, but it's not iced tea. It's a shandy. So what better to drink with fried chicken than a beer, right?
Cheers.
Cheers, you guys.
What is floating on the top of this then?
There's a little bit of basil chopped up on top, and it has a little blood orange juice in there as well.
Ooh, this is nice.
That's nice. You know, it's funny because
Refreshing.
the first words out of your mouth were almost family.
Yeah.
And that seems like it's such a big part of your story.
Huge part of my story. You know, I have a wonderful family, 2 boys and a wife at home in Boston, and family has always fed into my food. I grew up in a family that really appreciated food and had gardens and grew food and cooked with my parents, and so it's always been there. It's always been part of it.
You started as a stock boy in a grocery store.
I did.
And that took you right into this.
Well, the owner of the grocery store actually had a little cafe next door, and so I would finish my duties in the grocery and walk out for the day and kind of peer in through the back kitchen door and see all these cooks that look like pirates, and I said, I got to get in there. So
The first job, though, sounds like it was really a cheese shop. It was kind of a cheese and charcuterie.
It was this gourmet specialty shop in Providence. We focus mostly on artisan cheeses from America, as well as charcuterie. And then we kind of expanded and grew organically over time into having a bistro next door.
And it sounds like one of the most important people you would meet was at that cheese store as well.
Well, the original spot that I worked, yes, in Cambridge, I met my wife to be there. Didn't know I was going to at the time, and this vision in an apron came to the front door to let me in and poured my first cup of coffee, and that was it. So we fell in love over cured meats and cheeses.
Oh, what a romantic spot. I love it. So how did you end up in Providence?
Providence, we moved to after living in California for a little while.
Yeah.
Kind of wanted to come back to the East Coast, but weren't quite ready to move to Boston, go back to Boston or come to New York. So Providence seemed like a great spot, great art scene, lots of culture, incredible food community. So it just was a natural for us.
You know, it's funny because we so often have chefs on the show and they have a very contentious relationship with social media. And you seem to be the complete opposite.
Well, I embrace it, I think.
Yeah.
I embrace it as much as I can. I think it's a great way for me to connect with my peers in the industry. You know, so often we see each other at these gala events where there's 500 people walking around having a little bite, and that's the only time we get to see each other. This way we really get to connect, see what each other are doing with food, inspire our teams, and share that kind of conviviality of food. And for me, it's also a great way to kind of meet new people and guests that come into my restaurant. They see that I'm a family guy and, you know, I like to cook, and so I think they can relate.
After a long run in Providence, you decided to go back to Boston.
Yes.
You're at your 1-year anniversary now. What took you back? You just wanted to go home?
it was just time to go home. It was really more of a family decision than it was a career decision. As I mentioned, I've got 2 young boys, and I loved going to Red Sox games, as you mentioned, as a kid, and having these experiences going out surf casting on the shore, and I wanted them to experience that same thing. And for me, it was about getting closer to family and bringing the boys into part of my youth that I wanted them to experience as well.
Well, as I hand this dish to you to get your signature on it, we want to ask you, seems like the perfect family meal, but if you could have this meal with any person, past or present, who would that person be?
The one and only Ms. Julia Child, of course. Yes. So I had the pleasure of meeting Julia when I worked at a cheese shop in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and was actually her personal shopper. So she would call, and we would go through the store and select items for her pantry together. So if I could, she would be sitting right here with me.
I feel like she would